Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today I'm going to be doing another of this video where I'll be talking about films, characters, or scenes that were created out of sheer spite. So like I said in my previous video folks, yeah, I'm going to do a second part because like as mentioned in my other video, there was still quite a few of these things I didn't mention. And it was because I did that intentionally. It's not because I forgot about something or anything, but it's like a lot to talk about here. I mean, and I do mean quite a bit. Even doing a second part, I still believe I'm not going to cover everything, but there's not going to be any real order to any of this really. It's going to be just completely random, of course. And the movies themselves don't necessarily have to be good per se. I mean, I want them to be good, of course. I want these movies to be good because I like talking about good movies. And that's odd coming from me because I tend to complain a lot on both my channels. I'm always complaining about something. I'm always seem to be bitching about something. I know. So that's kind of funny coming from me to talk about something that I actually would enjoy. But just laying the groundwork there because just trying to have a variety of stuff, I guess you can say, within this video. It could be characters, it could be scenes, it could be movies, entire movies themselves. It could be just done out of sheer spite. So okay, yeah, there's gonna be another lengthy video, of course. So I appreciate anybody for watching ahead of time. So whoever you are that's watching this video, thank you so much for taking your time out the day to watch my video. Just talk about movies or whatever. All right then, all right. Let's just get into it, shall we? So here we go. And here we go. Just here we go. Here we go. The Last Jedi became one of the most hated Star Wars entries of the franchise. Even though honestly, I didn't think it was all that bad. I mean, okay, I got some issues with it, sure, but I didn't think it was the worst either. But anyway, a fan, of course, was petty enough to download the film onto their computer and in their hard drive. They they will have edited out all the scenes that show Ray and any additional scenes that mention her. I mean, okay, you could just argue that this technically doesn't count because it's not professionally, at least the fan version of this film is not professionally made out, actually released. But I'm counting it anyway because I know I've said this multiple times before. If something is 60 minutes or more, as far as I'm concerned, it's a movie. So with that in mind, I'm putting on this list. So yeah, the character of Rey became one of the most hated characters in the Star Wars franchise, along with Jar Jar Binks. Because they keep calling her like she's a Mary Sue, which she isn't. But yeah, which seems rather odd to me because considering the fact, look at the characters like Anakin Skywalker and whatnot, who's basically was viewed as the next Messiah within the Star Wars expanded universe and among the fan base. So yeah, it seems kind of odd that it was picking on a female character. So okay, moving on from this, one I want to bring up is of course Shrek. Okay, for a lot of you people out there who's watching this, many of you may not realize this. Yes, that first Shrek movie was done as sheer outer spite. And okay, it's like, what am I talking about? What do I mean? What's going on here? So okay, I bring up one of the characters that became really well known in this franchise. It's in regards to this princess character. I know some people might be thinking, okay, what's wrong with this character? She's cool, she's great, whatnot. But the thing of the matter, this character I guess, was just created out of sheer spite, and actually became an important character in the overall movie. This is because it was in some ways to give the big fat middle finger to the Disney princess characters. Because a lot of people seem to think that these characters are sexist towards women and whatnot. And at some point, you actually see her doing kung fu. Like, what the hell? But yeah, if anything, it was a big fat middle finger to Disney. That's basically it.
Morning, my neighbors! Hey, fuck you! Yes! Yes! Fuck you too!
I guess keeping in the theme of franchises. So here's another one for you folks. The first sequel to the Freddy movies. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, isn't exactly looked upon highly in the fan base for Freddy because a lot of people seem to feel like it's one of the weakest entries in the series. While I exactly don't hate the movie per se, but yeah, I can see what they were coming from. But the producer of this film, not the director, but the producer of the film, this individual, he was basically very focused on making this movie. He was like laser focused. He really wanted to make this film, make it happen. But of course, not exactly everyone was quite keen on a project. Really, come to think about it, and but it happens in the film industry. You know, not everybody's going to agree, creatively speaking, on every aspect of the thing. But anyway, moreover, the original director of this movies, Wes Craven, who became synonymous with horror, just didn't give a shit about this movie. He really didn't want anything involved with this project. He was so disinterested, of course. So yeah, there's still a bit of conflict behind the scenes, of course. So yeah, this kind of thing is actually pretty common. So yeah, what the hell, people? What the hell? So anyway, what resulted is that the producer, again, the producer, not the director, but the producer, actually hired a different director for the film. You end up getting up this guy to direct the movie. So if anything, Freddy Part Two was just made as a middle finger to Wes Craven because Wes Craven didn't care. He just wanted nothing to do with it. He thought the whole premise of the film was fucking stupid. So yeah, people. I mean, really, this is a grown ass man acting this way. They're supposed to be professionals. So okay. Anyway, moving on from this. And here's the thing, folks. Just like the original Star Wars films, the Indiana movies. Okay, I'm bringing up specifically the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but for the most part, they were heavily inspired by the sci-fi adventures, B movies, TV shows, kind of a thing. Except they had a budget. But moreover, is that Steven Spielberg had actually wanted to do a James Bond type of a movie. It's not that he didn't make the effort and anything. Steven Spielberg actually went up to one of the producers of the James Bond films to speak about it to see what they can actually do. The producer told Steven Spielberg that he wasn't good enough, even though, despite the fact that mind you, this was after the release of the first Jaws film. And then Steven Spielberg attempted again after he released a one film titled, you know, Invasion of the Third Kind. But nope, still apparently not good enough. The second time around was basically just that the action price to produce a James Bond film was way too high. So Yankees, more conflict among these individuals when you think about it. Eventually caused Steven Spielberg to produce Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Last Ark. So yeah, that film was made out of spite because he kept rejecting his offers to direct a James Bond film. So yeah, but of course George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are like the best friends, and he went on to say that that film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, was better than any of the James Bond films ever created. So yikes. The next thing I'm gonna bring up, I guess, like the first movie I brought up in this video. I guess in some ways you could say it doesn't count per se, because it's more of a reaction to said movie than anybody involved in said movie. But moreover, like some fans got jealous. First Deadpool film did make a lot of money. It was quite popular. However, the first Wonder Woman film actually made even more money than the first Deadpool film. Yes, this got a negative reaction from Marvel fans, and more specifically the Deadpool fans. They felt like that Wonder Woman, the first film, didn't deserve it. They felt like the movie is just mediocre at best. And people just feel like it's probably the woke culture acting as if It was just a part of the whole thing with filming Nazis and whatnot. And this is basically feeling like there's a whole agenda behind this kind of a thing, just to take stabs at a male character. That's absolutely not the case. I mean, the movie does have its faults, which it does. Wonder Woman is, I wouldn't exactly call Wonder Woman a masterpiece by any means, because it isn't. But I want to go as far as say what they were saying, because that's just ridiculous. Like these social justice warriors, the feminazis, the woke culture. They're acting as if like these all these groups teamed up just to fight against Deadpool. So a lot of people could just go online and just start these rants and whatnot. How dare the first Wonder Woman film would do such a thing? Yeah, just ridiculous. Are you kidding me, people? I mean, come on. Just what the fuck? I mean, really, really, really. Okay, for the next one as well. It's a bit stretching it in some ways too as well, but I'm included because just like some of the other stuff I brought up, creative differences and whatnot. So yeah, like I said, this is actually very common in the film industry. And to be more specific, it's the one actress who played the blue lady. She didn't want to wear the makeup because it made her feel uncomfortable or whatever. So if we're wondering why for a good chunk of the film she didn't want to, well, there you go. Right, yes, of course. That's pretty absurd because when you think about it, you signed a contract for these movies. You agreed to be in these movies. So you're gonna turn around, just throw a damn hissy fit like a little kid throwing a tantrum? Makes no sense. Just do your damn job. You're not there just to be giving demands and whatnot. And of course, of course, this kind of thing is nothing new because there's been conflict between actors and directors before. This has happened before multiple times, sure, but still, there's no excuse for actions. There's no time to be acting like an emotional brat. Ugh, just come on, people. Give me a break, really. This is just so stupid. I mean, really. Anyway, moving on from this, just wow. Wow. Come on, you're supposed to be professional, right? Well, any fucking way, moving on from this bullshit. Okay, the next thing is more of a marketing thing, but it's still out of spite. Okay, so it goes along with what I'm saying here in some ways. EA did a program thing, like a $10 thing. Oh, again, it's like some sort of thing they planned out against the used market when it comes to video games, because they didn't like the fact that the used market was making a fairly decent amount of money, none of which was going into deliverable hands, the publishers and whatnot. So as a way to counter that, they made some sort of plan and whatnot. And yes, there were actually people, like a bunch of dumbasses, defending their decision that EA had done just out of spite, and that's it. Which makes no sense considering the fact that these are the same people who don't say shit, like, at all, against used movies, like in Rasputin, Goodwill, what's the other thing? Oh, DD's discount or what? Just used anything else. Anything else that's not a video game, like used cars, used laptops, used PCs, used phones, just anything that's used, like used movies, like I just said. Nobody makes a remark on that, on those things, but okay, whatever. Hypocrites. Anyway. Oh yeah. And speaking of the Shrek movies, I'm bringing this up again because, yeah, speaking of creating characters out of sheer spite, yep, they did again with a certain character within the movie. So, of course, that character is Farquaad, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Yes, the villain of these movies, of course. This character was created as a way to for mockery for an individual who was actually really well known, and that's this guy right here. I wonder if he actually saw any of these movies. If he did, that would be pretty damn awkward. And speaking of mocking Lord Farquaad's kingdom, yes, you heard me, his kingdom. We all know there's like a bunch of guards and whatnot. It's heavily guarded, and yeah, of course, he wants to rule over everything, own the land, own the government, and all that. And pretty much own literally everything, rule everything with an iron fist, pretty much. That in itself was supposed to be, again, a mockery, of course, towards the Disneyland. As if they were trying to say something like some sort of monopoly kind of a thing going on here, apparently, which is a lie because Disney can't do that. And then top of that, Disney isn't doing that either. That's just a rumor that a lot of people seem to believe. Ugh. Anyway. Anyway, to move on from this stuff. Just before anyone says anything, this is kind of sort of stretching it in some ways as well, but in a nostalgic critic video, in a review, he did a mocking version of the song "Let It Go." As the way to poke stabs at it. Oh, come on, man, really? Ugh, give me a break. Oh, please get off your high horse, will you? The film wasn't that bad. Anyway, of course, this was not the only time he made references to his movies, and like he holds a grudge against it or something. I mean, Doug Walker is playing a character, so I guess it does count in that regard. Using his character to basically take jabs at the this movie. Oh boy, I was spite. I mean, what are you jealous or something? That one movie made more money than any of your movies. Is that what it is? Again, get off your high horse. But yeah, folks, it just seems ridiculous. Of course, this was done. I mean, yes, the Nostalgia Critic has a few movies of his own, which he starred in. So yeah, at least directed by Doug Walker, to say the very least. I mean, this was not the only show that made references to Frozen, of course, and actually animated shows like Family Guy. Yes, even they jumped on a bandwagon to mock Frozen, and which is I feel like the creator was just using this character as a way to express his opinions, like Kevin Swanson would, whom spoke about Frozen a number of times just out of spite. And of course, he was not the only religious person as well, along with people like E.W. Jackson, who claimed the more recent Disney films are extremely woke. I can imagine if the woke culture is working behind it, of course. And but of course, there are a number of people who say this kind of stuff to make up lies and to spread propaganda against the corporation just because it made a lot of money. But point being, yes, there were other shows that spoke about negatively against the film, and by using their characters in said show, yeah, like I said, that was done quite a few times already. And I guess another example is this show as well. So I mean, it was not the only live action show. There's plenty of live action shows like this kind of a thing. I'm not going to mention every single one because this video is already lengthy as it is. Use those characters as a way to say dialogue towards a specific movie from Disney. Just you guessed it, out of spite, just to bring it down. Just also mention that Terminator Dark Fate was done out of spite, and the evidence of this claim was this. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that haven't seen it, but let's just say it has something to do with the infamous opening sequence that happened, something with John Carter. So I'll just leave it at that. And it was also rumored that the Kung Fu Panda films was also done out of spite, just to take jabs at the Disney films. I don't know how much of that is actually true, really, but I'll just insert it here, just for the mere fact it was mentioned as a possibility. So that's something to think about. From what I heard, this film was done, yep, out of pure spite. And yeah, when the actor didn't get the part due to creative differences, let's just say that he would have wanted more action, but the producers refused to do so due to the budget or something in that regard. So yeah, I guess I can say this. That's definitely something to think about, of course, obviously. And yeah, this probably have something to do with the fact. Again, from what I heard, the Beverly Hills Cops movie was originally offered to Stallone, but he wanted to be more violent, have more sex scenes. But they said no, so therefore he ended up making that one movie I just mentioned, Cobra. So yeah, that's definitely something. Just wow, okay. Again, going on with the creative differences, I'm making people mad and whatnot, so that's something you go think about. Again, like I said multiple times already, this kinds of stuff is it's not nothing new, so yeah. Still pitiful in some ways, I guess you can say, but there you go. Rumors have it that for the reboot of the Fantastic Four film, Fox didn't care if the film lo- lost money or not. I mean, there's like a whole issue behind the film's history, behind the pictures. That's like a whole video in itself, but basically, they didn't care if they lost money just out of spite. Fox did not care if they lost money as long as Marvel and Disney also lost money as well when it comes to investment of that kind of thing. Oh boy, I'm talking about having like a self-own kind of thing instead of just being sorry to somebody else. You do that to yourself and someone else. Now that's definitely a level of pity. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Basically, in other words, Fox basically did a kamikaze. They shot itself in the foot. They're, they're okay with it as long as Disney lost money, along with Marvel. That's so stupid. All right, I guess for the last part of the video, I mentioned Star Wars in the beginning. I thought, okay, it makes sense if we end it with Star Wars. The toxic fan base is toxic, and with the actress who played Rose, I didn't like what happened to her at all. This, one would say next, is just directors having different opinions, different creative differences. I'm just making a remark on that, okay, folks? Just that alone, okay? So yeah, but specifically, I'm bringing up Star Wars: Last Jedi since I brought it up earlier. More specifically, the director of this movie is this guy. So yeah, he made a decision within the film itself. Yep, out of spite. So it just comes off like he wanted to make an entire storyline just as a way to take jabs at the other director. Yep, him. Yeah, this was mainly because of the fact he directed the previous Star Wars film, which is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Because the thing is that he didn't like, or at the very least, he felt under pressure when it comes to the fan base and basically everyone else because of the fact Star Wars: Force Awakens had gay references, gay possibilities, or maybe bisexual possibilities. So in his film, he wanted to retcon all that by having Rose kiss Finn. Yeah. Yeah, talk about really being spiteful. Oh boy. Just on a retcon the entire possibility of that. What an asshole. Yes, I realized they had a brief lesbian kiss towards the end of the one movie by Skywalker. But, like the old saying goes, a little too late. The damage has been done. So, I mean, it's baby steps. I guess you can say you can argue that it's a start, but there's just that nagging feeling that what could have been. This entire saga, well, at least a new saga anyway, the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, was a great missed opportunity for the LGBT community. They really could have had something here, but they didn't. Just because like one guy, the one director, just had to wreck it, had to retcon the entire thing for some stupid. First, it's obviously expanding, and you mean to tell me that nobody's just curious? Whatever. That makes no sense. Anyway, folks, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Later.